So I'm currently wiring up the incoming DC plus and minus to the inverter. Inside the inverter itself it looks like this. So you can see the incoming is over there, plus and minus to the left from this angle. And they connect actually here. One thing to note is that this bracket is actually broken, but I think it will be fine. We can glue it together and it will stay there just fine. It's actually quite good strength in this copper bus bar here as well. So these two cables comes from the connection box here, which has the pre-charge contactor and the plus and minus contactor. So what I'm doing here is cutting away these really like short distance of shielding on these cables. I actually chose to shield these cables because they are so close to these AC wires here. And if I'm keeping those, they will be unshielded, but I might be upgrading those as well. In the Mitsubishi Outlander, they were actually shielded, but this shielded, it was pretty much corroded away. So now I removed this shielding there. So I cut off the shielding from this point on here, and now I'm fitting the cable glands like this one here. And then crimp on the cable shoe here, the cable lug. You can also note that these here are 3D printed, and the cable glands just screws straight into these ones. And then you have this O-ring here which seals it. And this one also has a hole there for a screw. It's hard to see, but there you go. For the high voltage connections, I purchased these cable lugs. It's for 35 square millimeter, of which I'm using. And I use 35 square millimeters because that is the same as in the eGolf battery packs. So I figured that why go up to 50 if they're using 35 in this eGolf. So I bought this because these have the M6, so they fit perfectly with the screws that connects these ones. So it's over there. You can just increase that by 1 millimeter or something. It's fine. It's actually quite easy to cut. And then the tricky part comes when you want to fit this on top of here. If you lose one or two, I guess that's fine, but you don't want to lose too many. There you go. I got them all. That's great. So now I got this super fancy hydraulic press tongue thingy. So what you do is that you insert it here and then you just pump the handle and it will squeeze it extremely hard. So from the beginning these cable lugs are round. So in the air. And that's done, and then you get really high resistance here because you're actually done. So these two metal parts are all together now. So you just release the pressure and there it goes. So you can see now it's squeezed nice and tidy here. Really good connection. And of course add some heat shrink to it, and I use one with glue on it. And it's so easy to do this in the wrong order. Like if I had forgotten to add this one before, I would not have been able to squeeze it over the cable lug. But I think this will work out really good. So next step is to continue to maybe paint this box and tidy it up a little bit. This one just goes through all the way here, connects to this one up here. So what I've done here as well is you see this is the original connectors. But I understand that these ones are quite hard to get a hold on and they're quite expensive, so I just toss them out, cut the cable and solder on some new cable with this nice cable glands here. So these fit right in there. I'm making good progress in wiring up the inverter here, the resolver and the temperature sensors and position sensors of the motor. So I reckon it's 1,000 ways you could do this, but the way I'm doing it is I'm just splicing this one, twisting all the little copper wires, and some heat shrink. Don't want to forget that one. Then I just twist them together, put them as an X and then twist both of them. Make it as tight as possible, and now they stick together quite well. And it's quite easy then to just apply some soldering paste, a lot of heat, so you know it's really getting through there, soaking everything in. Fairly confident that this will hold forever. And there you have it. So what you can see here as well is the 3D printed cable, I don't know what they call it, cable glands maybe. Oh, this is actually a purchased cable gland, so this is some kind of fitting, I guess. You have some O-ring here. These ones are water sealed as well. So I chose to go with like a trailer cable here, which includes like 14 wires. Just to not have these special connectors, because they are quite expensive. These ones are like $1 or something, so very cheap. And this is quite neat actually, because you can just thread this through the hole in the inverter all the way, and just one little bolt here holds it in place. So the last step here is to apply some cable protection as well. Better safe than sorry. Don't put any shorts inside the boxes here. And these cables are actually really close to the high voltage side as well, so you don't want any shorts. So this cable is actually routed in here, through here, and up to the side of the circuit board here. So you can see the high voltage cabling here for the motor, the 3 phases here, is really close to these cables, so you don't want anything to be touching each other here. And you see I have this little stump here as well, because 2 of the cables are not used. And I've done it the same way in the resolver, so for any reason, I cannot really know now I want to use these wires, I have the possibility to do that. There is this ferromagnet here. I guess it's for some kind of EMC protection, as these wires run really close to the AC wires for the motor. Yeah, so that's it. I think it's quite neat. Yeah, so here's the inverter again. It's open, as you can see. So you have the high voltage side here and the PCB here, which controls the MOSFETs or whatever whatever you have in these kind of things. You can see the cooling plate is down here, so you have the inlet on one of the sides, I'm not sure which. You have the connections for the plus and minus coming into the inverter. For the AC wires for the motor, I will be using the existing cable from the Mitsubishi Outlander. I might do the work of shortening it. So these cables will actually just go right down here. It's like 1 or maybe 2 decimeters I will need for these motor connections. Quite neat. And on this side here you have the low voltage connections. So I just show you wiring up these connections for the electric motor. For the phase detection and temperature sensors. But for powering the inverter and for CAN communication, the other one is used here. The side connections here are for the auxiliaries, the high voltage auxiliaries like the heater and AC compressor. I will be using one because this is for the DC and onboard charger. So over here I have that box here. You can see the high voltage cabling here. It's very temporarily set up here, but this connector here goes right into this slot here with a plus and minus there. I might be using the heater as well. This will also connect right here, but I haven't really figured out how to do that yet. If I'm using some PTC heater or the Mitsubishi Outlander heater or some other brand of heating. So for now I just 3D printed this plug and like glued it here so it's watertight. Yeah, so that's it for the inverter, and yeah, of course I can show you where it will be mounted as well. What's a heavy piece of equipment? So somewhere there it will be sitting. And I haven't really figured out exactly how these front brackets will look like and where they will connect to, but probably not to the subframe. Yeah, but we'll see about that.